Churning colors bleed from the horizon of the night sky, with ethereal greens and reds, painting an otherworldly brilliance to contrast the multitude of stars that watch from the east. Even this far from the northern pole of Nox, the brilliant auroras of the Sparkwinds light the night sky. The first moon, Kava, approaches the horizon in her emerald brilliance. The second moon, Brel, stands tall where the sky meets the Sparkwinds. The hour of third moon is marked as Desha peeks her opal countenance from around her brother Brel. It has been 15 years since the night of the Emberflare, when the Sparkwinds briefly vanished from the sky, then burst alight with vibrance never before seen, nor since. With the Emberflare came the emergence of the arcane and eldritch, divine and fiendish alike. The Touched, those who were changed by the Emberflare, have come to refer to these strange magics as the Spark, while others call it, and all that it's touched, vulgarities. While many of the Touched were affected physically, there are some who theorize that the Spark is not reserved merely for the few chosen, but that it can be accessed and harnessed through means of intellect and study. Well into Third Moon, we see one such researcher continuing to toil over his studies. Matt, would you please describe a 25-year-old Magnus and his study at Vindovir University for us?
No longer frail, but still lean, has grown tall. He has dark hair now. Wears, I guess, what could be described as like a dark academia sort of outfit, like white puffy-ish shirt, long sleeves, mostly like pushed up to keep the chalk and charcoal and stuff off of it. Black vest, waistcoat sort of thing going on. Hair pretty unkempt, as he doesn't really care about his appearance too much unless he's going to some sort of a formal function where it's required for him to look kempt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably like charcoal smearing the palms and like up the wrists a little bit.
Yeah, as he's, taking notes, writing out formulae and things like that, trying to work out whatever problem, arcanodynamics that he's trying to figure out.
Yeah. There's a pair of well-worn papers that sit before you, each displaying a rubbing taken of various ancient Noxian runes. What does the space evoke that you're within?
Tons of bookshelves, just all around. It's definitely more dedicated to research and work than it is comfort. Although the bed does look more well-used and loved than it did before, as he's come to realize it's very important to rest in order to be able to perform the magic that he's been researching.
Yeah. Yeah, the bed...
Ran out of spell slots, huh?
Yeah.
The
So far. Not being able to stay awake.
although it is well into Third Moon, which is for us roundabouts like 2 to 3 in the morning.
I'm not an early morning kind of guy.
Yeah, there's a fire roaring in a hearth nearby, kind of keeping you warm in this northern chilled highlands where Vindovir University exists in the great nation of Caldrunmor. Magnus, you can go ahead and make an Arcana check as you continue to pore over these pages from your youth that you've mostly sussed out the first page. There are a lot of things that were written there that you've been able to translate into various incantations and somatic hand movements that you can use to produce different effects. But particularly the second page, still, even all these years later, and all of this research eludes you. So go ahead and make an Arcana check as you continue to look over it.
Dirty 20.
Yeah, you're going through, reading the Ancient Noxian aloud, and doing the proper somatic components. A lot of them are familiar, some of them are inference, and you have this moment of what can only be described as a late night breakthrough specifically. I think we've all been in one of those periods where there's something that you've been mulling over for maybe even days, and at some point in the middle of the night, usually when you're doing something completely unrelated to the task at hand, it clicks in your brain. And you realize this isn't finished. There's more to this. There has to be another tablet in the set. And just as this realization is taking place, we see as the camera pans to the side, a figure standing silhouetted in the doorway. Josh, can you describe a 27-year-old Brody for us?
He's short. He didn't grow at all.
Well, definitely taller. Not quite as... He looks leaner than he used to be. Not quite as, like, strong, but a little bit, like, taller and leaner. Short beard, messy hair, has, like, some thicker kind of hide attire on.
Are you guys both kind of in the, like, over 6 foot range, I'm guessing?
I suppose, like probably around 6 foot, yeah.
Yeah. I would say that both of you, as you have aged and come into your adult bodies,
Gross.
specifically... I'm never saying the word come again.
We'll see about that.
Henceforth to...
You found that each of you, being Ilvermirian from the far north in your youth, find yourselves much taller than most of the people in Caldrunmore. The average height here is below the stature at which the two of you stand. What is Brody's dress like?
Kind of like thicker hide, almost like vests, and very kind of plain clothes, nothing too fancy, more utilitarian kind of, or like, you know, has a reason to wear it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you both have dark hair?
Almost like chestnut hair,
It's like reddish.
tinge of red, yeah.
Brody, your little brother is here as ever in his study, avoiding sleep and poring over those old relics from your homeland. He doesn't seem to have noticed your arrival.
Brother, you might refill the oil? It's getting late now.
Oh! Brody, you snuck up on me.
What are you doing?
With his heavy stomping.
I'm studying, like always.
Like all...
But I've just discovered that I'm missing something.
Which is?
There was another tablet. I'm positive.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that I think we should go home, back to Gloamshore.
Is it, are you done with your classes?
They can wait.
There's a knock at the door this time.
Come in.
The door opens, and stepping in, I'm going to ask each of you to give me one notable physical feature or quirk of Master Rykard Famedesh, the headmaster of Vindovir University.
I'm thinking like wild Einstein-looking hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very tiny glasses. Like,
Excellent. Yeah, tiny glasses
Yeah.
on a pretty plump nose, which is the only plump part of this man. He's very small. Some would think him frail by the kind of like hunched way that he walks, up there in years. And yeah, just a wild mess. Like, this man hasn't cared about his appearance in years. And even when he goes to functions and formal events, still, he looks exactly the same at all times.
I've taken a lot of my cues from this man. Like, my glasses are also much smaller than they were when I was a kid at
Yeah.
this point.
He steps in. Brody, but good to see you. Magnus, I've received word from a field team in Lochvara that a previously undiscovered ruin complex has been uncovered. It's said to be rife with ancient Noxian artifacts. Most notably, the thing that caught my attention and made me want to come to you was some sort of iron tablet was found therein. I think it's time we got you out in the field. What do you say, old boy?
I think that you're 100% right. There was a discovery I made of my own that I think one of the tablets I've been studying is missing from my notes. I can't say that it's that one. It might be a totally unrelated one. If it is unrelated, then I'd like to venture further as well after we complete studying that, if that's where I'm being sent. So,
Further to where?
Ilvermere.
Ilvermere. The ill-fated isle. Yes, yes, I will reach out to the Seekers Guild in Lochvara. I believe Ilvermere falls under their jurisdiction. I'll see if I can get in a meeting so that we can get you your Seeker's license to explore outside of the Isle. if this is something that you desire, brother, this may interest you as well if you're still in the salvage business.
Of course.
Magnus, make an insight check.
16.
I'm going to ask Brody, would Magnus know that you've had any interactions, like that you know this man?
No.
Okay, so this is all very odd to you, that they seem kind of familiar. Also, you don't know that
You don't know I know anyone from the university.
Yeah, you also don't know that Brody's ever been involved in a salvaging business.
How do you all know each other?
Oh, Brody is occasionally works as a merchant who will sell us various bits and bobbles and supplies that we could use here at the school. Mostly for a lot of the research that you do. You've probably been unknowingly using bits of charcoal that your brother provided to us.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can make another
I'm
insight
gonna
check.
walk into the kitchen to get myself a glass of water. Is there running water?
No, but there's probably
There's a bucket or
basin.
something.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
basin here for sure that's kept filled.
Throat try. I'm gonna go in there and do some somatic things while I'm in there, and then come back out.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I rolled another 16.
Something is definitely kind of fishy about whatever they're talking about to you, but whether or not you would question it is up to you. I know you have a bit of a reputation in the university for being a little bit more critical of your superiors, but I would leave it up to you to decide how you feel about this particular man who is like he's the headmaster of the school. He runs the place. He funds your expeditions and things.
I feel like he's okay for the most part, as he's not like a research adversary of mine or anything like that. Like he's not throwing out moronic ideas that I have to shoot down all the time.
Yeah, and almost as if maybe trying to quickly change the subject, you're not sure, but he's like, I've been practicing what you showed me. Watch this. And he kind of like moves his hand a little bit and kind of gives a flick of the wrist, and as he moves it, there's this little puff of smoke and light that almost looks like the Sparkwinds a bit for a moment before it kind of flashes and fizzles away. He's like, ha ha! You see?
That is an excellent bit of prestidigitation.
Thank you. And such a lovely name you came up with for it too. I love saying it. I always tell it to everyone that I see. It's hard to pronounce sometimes, but I'm getting it down.
You invented prestidigitation?
Well, I
You
didn't.
refound it.
I discovered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just imagine you being like that guy, just being super drunk. Prestidigitation.
Watch it. Look. It's harder to cast magic when you've had a couple of wines.
Great. Now I have to come up with like different names for all of these normal spells. Some real pompous ass names for them.
It could be
This is
fun.
the Magnifier.
I thought I would inform you. We do have a ship leaving tomorrow evening, departing from the port in Caldrunmore proper down the mountain pass. There's room for yourself and your brother if you're interested.
Yes. You'll see to it that my classes are covered while I'm away, I hope. I'll also need a disbursement of some gems to buy some supplies for while I'm gone.
Yes, we can, of course, find a room for a few pearls in the research funding. As I said, I'll contact the Seekers Guild. Are you familiar with the Seekers Guild in Lokvara? Make just a luck check. We'll call this 10 or higher.
No.
Okay.
6.
You're not familiar with like the inner workings of the Seekers Guild.
I can't say that I'm too familiar with them.
It's a bit of a rough and tumble group, but they sanction the ability that we have to delve into these ruins and participate in archaeology and finding these artifacts and bringing them to places where they can be studied and learned about. And without the proper permits that the Seekers Guild offers, without their permission, it is actually a crime to delve into these places. Now, the Seekers Guild of Lokvara works closely with several Seekers Guilds that are all over Nox. It's sort of I wouldn't say that there's a governing body, but they work closely with the governing bodies of several different countries. You basically need their permission to be able to gather artifacts without it being a crime. Now, as I said, they are a bit rough and tumble, so their entry review is a bit more challenging than most, I would say. It's not just something that you can sign papers and you're in. So I would recommend, if you've got any, I know you're from Lochvara, post Ilvermere, if there's anyone that you know of or anyone here at the school that you would prefer to take with you, I would say take them, because there may be some sort of trial or ceremonial rite or what have you, and then you will be given your Seeker's Edict, which is, my understanding, is a small token that you can then present to the proper officials to not be charged with thievery.
Ah, yes.
As I said, I will ride ahead and see if I can't pull some strings, but I will send word once you've arrived.
Beautiful. Brody,
Yeah.
are you on a job right now? Are you between
No,
jobs?
just working at the docks.
Want to go on an adventure?
Always.
Wonderful.
Brody, there is a more than just excitement. There is a almost supernatural pulse within your chest at your brother asking you if you want to go on an adventure.
Love it.
Does Brody carry a weapon?
Some daggers, that's about it.
Okay.
What you'd imagine a fisherman or a dock worker or whatever to have on them for
Yeah.
cutting ropes and doing other things.
Yeah, like cleaning fish and
Yeah.
all that biz.
Probably a sharper one for clean fish and a rougher one for, like,
Yeah, for sure.
cutting ropes.
I'll start packing up the things that I'll need. Like I have a big leather portfolio thing that I keep the rubbings in to keep them safe. But then, I've actually created a spell book with the usable incantations that I've been able to figure out.
Yeah.
So I'll bring my spell book, the blank. I have a similar one that's blank that I'll bring, and then a couple of blank journals for taking notes while I'm out in the field, and then maybe a couple of other books that I'll need for reference.
Yeah, you are provided with 2 turquoise chips in addition to 1 pearl.
Ooh.
Which the pearl has been kind of shaved and faceted into this very specific sort of diamond-like shape to denote that it is money and not just a pearl that you found. Same with the turquoise, it's sort of this large, flat hexagon that's also faceted, but with that lovely turquoise color to it.
Gotcha.
You depart on the morrow.
On his way out,
Yeah.
Headmaster, it's always a pleasure to see you. We'll talk later, and I shake his hand
Yes.
and pass something off to him.
Yeah, and make a sleight of hand check. I'm gonna roll for him to see if he can give you advantage.
I already have advantage, by the way.
Oh, good, because he doesn't.
Yeah. For reasons, I have advantage.
Is this going to go against my passive perception?
I'd say because you succeeded on your insight checks earlier, you could make a perception check.
Natural 20, that's 25.
Yeah.
Damn. If you'd like to roll and see if you can hit a natural 20 as well.
I mean, even with a natural 20, I won't get a 25 on perception.
A natural 20 is an auto success. Even on ability checks. You heard it. You heard me.
Wow.
I rolled a 19, but that's the 22.
So close.
Damn, yeah.
You notice as they shake hands, it's just weird that they're shaking hands to you. You didn't know that Brody even knew this guy. We, the audience, see as he is bringing his hand away from Brody's and kind of puts it in his pockets to walk out of the room. There's just a slight glow of orange as he sticks it in and walks around the door.
We should reach out to Eric Sevier and Susha.
Yeah? How are they?
Great, I think.
At this mention, we pull out from the study through a window, sort of circular stained glass that we pass through as we pull out and see the beautiful Baroque majesty of the University of Vindovier, which is just spires and buttresses, this massive castle city that sprawls in these mountains as we pull out even further and see various torchlights of twinkling in different areas of more populated spaces. We then pull across the dark umbral sea, churning with its inky black waves and reflecting the sparkwinds above in the sky. And the sparkwinds actually become more prevalent in the sky, seemingly like crawling across it and taking up more of the sky as we leave Caldrunmore and approach Lochvara. We see, as we pass over, a series of ring-like islands that all interconnect with one another, thicker at some points of these arcs than others, each containing various lakes and lochs within. Our vision is pulled down to one of the thickest parts of the island rings and into deep woods. We see a grizzled old man, and he's got like a really thick knit cap that's pulled tightly down over his head and like just covers his eyebrows, which are so bushy that they're sticking out from under it still and kind of curling up over the hat itself, wearing a vest and a thick leather duster, moving through with a walking stick. And behind him is a brown bear furfolk, a bipedal bear who's walking behind kind of like nervously. And it's this odd juxtaposition of this comparatively very much smaller old man who's kind of like walking forcefully through the woods, and a large bear who's kind of like claws together and like looking around over his shoulder and just kind of hunched, towering over this little guy. We see as they're walking amidst the towering oak and ash trees, and the old man speaks. "It's round here somewhere. Oldest ash I ever seen, I tell you. It'll make for a strong dinghy, I'm certain." "Sure, but aren't you even a little unsettled? Something don't feel right out here. I swear. And Brimley says there's witches in these woods." "Feh! Brimley also says there's ghosts working the Pickle Street Bakery, and that the woolly turtles can't run." They can't, can they? I've never seen one do it." "Feh! Come on now, and hush yourself. There are owl bears that prowl in these woods." And they continue moving through as we see a beautiful ash tree gnarled and thick from centuries of growth. The old man motions an impatient hand at the bearfolk, who uncoils a long two-man saw from his pack. As they approach the tree and get into position to begin cutting it down, what happens?
They hear an ominous creaking sound of all of the woods around them, as if the trees are all like turning towards them and bending towards them.
Bear perks up and is like, Did you hear that?"
"Hear what? I ain't heard nothing in 15 years. Come on, get some."
And
There's also the sound of like whispers. It's all around them, just more and more voices.
"You're telling me you don't hear that? You've got to hear that." It's like,
"Hear what? Come on, put your back into it."
and they make the first long drawing cut into the tree's trunk.
There's a screaming noise that emanates from the tree.
Yeah, from the tree, loud and shrill. Both of them fall back. Go ahead and make an intimidation check with advantage.
It's only a 9.
The bearfolk stumbles backwards and turns and on all fours runs back where he came in the woods. The old man gets himself up off the ground, kind of like looking around. He's like a little nervous, but reaches down, picks up just a regular hand axe, like a lumberman's cutting axe. He's like,
"Can't get anything done unless you do it yourself round here."
and he's going to rear back to start trying to hit the tree.
He's gonna hear the snap of a twig, and if he looks, he will see a figure with massive saber moose horns walking between two trees and then disappearing.
He hears the snap, and he's on high alert now, hears and sees that. He takes off, books it, running through the woods back in the direction that he came.
I don't think he's gonna hear the giggling.
Our vision pulls through this misty woods in the dark night, lit only by the greens and reds of the Sparkwinds above. We see Arixovir. Would you mind describing?
Yeah, what you look like.
Arixovir is now 7 foot 2 inches tall.
Holy shit.
And still very lean, but they've got like elongated forearms and elongated fingers, kind of similar to what Granny Brynja had. They now have 2 kind of small horns, one coming through the messy mane of hair. The other side is shaved on their head. The horns are kind of like, they look almost like wood, so they almost look goat-like, but also like they might be just tree growths, little limbs or something. They have a little like leathery nose now, kind of similar to like a little goat or something. And their ears are elongated but still rounded, and they kind of have like a velvety look to them.
Kind of like out and down a bit, right?
Yes, yeah.
Mm.
And they just have this like, from their little like childish rounded face is now kind of sharper planes. Their eyes have gone like the full gold color with the weird star pupil that Granny Brynja had.
How many points are on the star?
Ooh.
People.
Don't say a butthole now.
What is up? How
Too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
More
10
than
or more.
7.
10 or more, yeah.
Yeah.
Asterisk. If it feels asterisk.
Just look at the Greendale flag. in community.
How
I
many?
think it's just like 4.
Like Rick and Morty
Ooh.
characters have butthole eyes.
Oh,
for sure.
kind of like a diamond.
Yeah, they are decked out in tattoos that kind of emanate from the shaven part of their head and all the way like down their back and shoulders, and some onto their arms. This are all just like ancient Noxian runes and stuff, and random like nature symbols, like crudely drawn, like ravens and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So you're the anime character of this campaign, not me. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a rustle in the underbrush next to you as you hear a familiar voice say, "I knew that old Contra was up to no good." As you look down, would you mind describing Gunnar for us?
He's a badger pine, so he's got like the coloration of a badger, so it's like mostly gray, but the face is black with white stripes.
Like an English badger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a bunch of quills coming out.
No.
And this like very cute like rounded nose. And you can tell that like the black has now started to get the peppery like whites, so you can tell that he's starting to get up there in age.
Walks up and nuzzles your palm, which is like, doesn't take much for you to like bend your knees and have your hands near the ground.
Yeah. How long are your arms in comparison to like your body?
I mean, I can just scratch my knees without bending over.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a step before Slenderman levels is kind of what
Okay.
I'm imagining for
Yeah.
body proportion.
Yeah.
Like your body is the size of a normal person's, but you're 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
Oh, Gunnar, there's just too many of these folks trying to come into the woods and make a mess of things. They don't respect the wilds anymore.
I know, and they're supposed to. Aren't your people like they have a reason? Like they have to get permission to do stuff like this or something.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't follow rules.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Well, these ones weren't nearly as bad as the ones down by the coast. Keep making these big, loud sounds, and rocks and trees shudder. It feels like they're hurting Nox every time.
What do I know about this?
I don't think so.
What are you talking about? What are they doing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can hear it when I go down by the cliffs. I was chasing some bugs the other day, and I was, marking the trees, because why not? And I heard a really loud sound. It was sharp and quick, and it really startled me. I almost ran off, but I noticed even the leaves on the trees were kind of shaking. And when I looked down, they're sort of like at the bottom of the cliffs, on like where the beach is, where I can't get to. And there was a bunch of people down there. And dust was everywhere, and I don't know. It was weird.
Maybe we should check it out.
Yeah. Isn't your friend coming to visit today, though? The one that looks like she'll burn the forest down just by touching it?
Yes, that is today, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow we can go and, I don't know, maybe she could come with us. Maybe if she threatens to burn him or something, they'll scare him off.
I love it. Ugh. And I just like jump onto a tree and just start swinging around.
He like does little badger hops on the ground.
It's adorable.
We pull through the forest to a small village that is butted up against a tall wall that seems to be surrounding a greater city. We hear the rhythmic clanging of a hammer against steel as it rings out through the village streets. Steam curls up and around the roof of the covered workshop, and within we see a flash of flame. Oh, also, how old is Erixovia?
I think they were in between So 26.
Excellent.
Yep.
Sam, would you mind describing a 23-year-old Saoirse for us?
Thank you for doing the math.
You're very
You were that much younger than us?
She was 8 years old.
Wild.
Saoirse at this point they hit the growth spurt that they'd kind of been like accumulating kid fat for. But still, compared to the rest of this party, it's just like an average adult human height. She's like 5'6", like 5'5", 5'6", and densely built, very muscular, but with like a, kind of like soft layer of fat. They're not shredded. That's not useful.
Right.
Abs are for show. They don't do it. Yeah.
She's very usefully built.
Yeah, you've got like the center line, but that's it.
Yeah. And I mean, she's an imposing figure for sure, even being, stout.
Yeah, for sure.
Her hair most of the time is long and constantly like moving and waving, but she's learned over the years how to change it through will. So when she's working, usually it'll be just kind of like shorter cropped, and then in more casual settings will just kind of flow freely. And every now and then she has like iron bangles that she'll wear on her wrist and use those to like keep it back and out of the way, or like rings.
I like to think that like even though we've established earlier that there's not like an immense heat produced, I like to think that even those iron bangles become like red hot.
Yeah,
and have
I
that sort of
think
like glow to them.
like a twine or a anything else made of cloth that you would use would just wear down too quickly. She still has the freckles like cinders, but now they're kind of also like on the shoulders and like along the arms, basically wherever the sun touches. This is a person who's outside a lot and kind of always has the like easy breezy appearance of like, just crawled out of bed. I don't know why my shirt is so unbuttoned. She doesn't usually wear her armor just like around town, but she does have a set for like going into the woods and potentially getting attacked by animals or people. But most of the time it's like strong leather pants, strong leather boots, bracers, and that's about it. And like just oh no. White shirt, kind of ruffly.
Yeah.
Why are there so many buttons missing?
Why are there they've just popped up. And I would think if Arik would have probably like a crudely done tattoo or two that are just like randomly placed, like one on the back of the arm, maybe like one on the back of the neck.
Make a performance check.
Oh no.
I will.
Arik is all about it. Yeah, I can do that.
I will allow you to use dexterity in place of charisma if you would prefer, but that's your choice.
Well, here we go.
Hey,
That's a 19 on the die, is a 21.
Nice. They're good.
Yeah, they're not crudely done
So wait,
at all.
what are they?
I imagine
Dicks.
The one on the back of the neck.
sword.
It just says like, if anyone asks, this is a sword.
And you rolled a 21, so there's like veins and shading. No, please.
Tell her it's a fucking sword.
The one on the neck probably goes like down to the shoulder and like fades out, and it's just kind of an interpretation of the lights in the sky.
Oh, that's right.
And then the one on the back of the arm. Do you want to choose? Not dicks.
I mean, I have an idea.
Oh, what?
It could be a hammer.
Yeah, that felt so on the nose.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
We are in our 20s.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a hammer.
Would it be closer to like a blacksmith's hammer, or would it be like a war hammer that's like ornate? Is this like a hammer that you own, or is this a hammer that you aspire to one day own or create?
I think this is a hammer that I own.
Nice.
What's your like skin look like? Is it kind of flame-like too, or?
It's like
I think it's like kind of orangish and like fleshy, but the freckles have that sort of flame-like movement under them. I would also say,
see like a glow,
Like
from
almost
within.
flame princess. No?
I
yes.
don't
I think you
deeply
used.
know that reference enough to confirm
How
skin.
How does the tattoo look then? Does it?
I was
look
gonna
similar
say,
to
Yeah.
the
I think,
freckles that
yeah, I
it,
think
like-
similar to the freckles, the tattoos have this sort of like motion beneath them that was,
Sick.
yeah, not not
Yeah.
intentional, but just a perk of being who
Do
you
you
are.
glow in the dark?
I can probably adjust that to an extent,
Okay.
but not. I don't think I could fully go out. You know?
Yeah.
Ooh, it could be fun if you like, kind of like, bleed to a softer kind of like bluish hue
Yeah.
when you're trying to
Oh, yeah.
stealth.
That'd be
That could
fun.
be neat. The sweat evaporates from your brow as you examine your latest creation. The last in a set that you've been working on for days, between seemingly endless orders of nails, horsehound shoes, and various tools. It's nearly time for dinner at Granny Brenya's cottage. What do you do to prepare before you leave?
I'm gonna go ahead and get my armor on because I'm gonna be traipsing through the woods.
Mhm.
And after that, I think I'll go ahead and sheath all of those daggers and put them in my bag so I can give one to Arik.
Mhm.
And then I think I'll probably go to like the market and just grab like, you know, a couple, like a bottle of wine and etc. items that you bring to somebody's house when you go to dinner.
Okay. Do you stop by home before you
Maybe
go?
not wine. I'll get like a quarter keg.
Yeah, for sure. You grab a cask of ale. Do you stop by your house before you go or anything? Freshen up?
I think I'll go to.
I guess you would need to put your armor on, huh?
Yeah, and I'll probably go leave like a dinner on the table.
Yeah, you head home and get your armor on and throw together a quick dinner. And as you bring it out to the table, you see that your father, Cormac, who we now see is relatively tall and broad, but naturally, not because he like works out, a little thinner than the last time we saw him for sure. There's a little bit of stubble around his blue chin and sort of like ice-toned flesh. His hair, which when last we saw it was sort of like frozen together and had frost at the hairline, is now like solid ice that has that sort of reflective nature that frozen water does, but there's still motion to it. We see as he's comes in from outside, and which, you know, that's good. He went outside today, and is holding a series of letters that he's kind of flipping through. And he's like, "Oh, morning, Saoirse, or afternoon. You've got a letter here from Magnus again."
Oh, lovely. I wonder how he's doing.
Right. Kind of like, he seems distracted. He's got like a letter of his own in his hand that he pops open. Go ahead and make a perception check. Difficulty of 10. You don't see any script denoting who it's from or anything. Kind of like pops the wax seal and reading through it. Kind of like smiles to himself as he does, which is nice to see. It's been probably a couple of weeks since he's been up and around of his own volition. As you know, he kind of has these periods of depressive episodes that he'll just kind of not leave his room for a while. You got to remind him to eat and move and be up and around. Part of the reason that you've taken on so many more blacksmithing jobs with, like, normally you wouldn't bother yourself with nails, as I think probably Saoirse's passion is creating various different types of weapons with intricate designs. But you've been taking up more to make enough to support yourself and your father. I'm going to ask Magnus, what are the contents of this letter?
So this will be a letter that basically says that, you know, Brody and I are on the way back to Lokvara. We intend on visiting the Seekers Guild and going through whatever bureaucracy they have so that we can get access to a recent archaeological dig that's on site. But we both would very much like to see you and Eric Sovir when we arrive, which should be on or around X day.
Which you see that the given time frame is like between this day and like the next 2 days.
It looks like Magnus and Brody are coming back for a little while.
Oh, that's nice. How long has it been? What, 10?
It's been a long time. I hear from Magnus often, but Brody doesn't respond to my letters.
Aw.
I put little tidbits in his, but not much.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it sounds like you'll get to see him in person here pretty soon. That's exciting.
It'll be fun.
Right. Rolls up the letter that he was reading. Go ahead and make it one more perception check. Same difficulty.
Nat 20!
Natural 20. You see this time as he takes the letter and just begins folding it up, you see that it is inscribed from Nora. It's kind of folds it up neatly and puts it into his vest pocket. Well, you've got dinner in the woods tonight.
Right, there's stew in the pot there, and Auntie is going to be coming over tomorrow morning. So she'll be here for breakfast and...
Sorry, who?
Auntie?
Oh, right. Right, okay. Well, have fun. Are you expecting to stay the night? I guess you won't be wanting to come back. Don't come back through the woods.
I'm not going to come back in the dead of night, no.
Good.
But I imagine we might make our way back here together in the event that Magnus and Brody come back, so...
Right, sure. Yeah, everyone's welcome to... I mean, we've got not much space, but I can make sure that Auntie puts together Nora's room, and we can make it up for guests. Should be all right.
Sure. We also, there's the shed outside that might be more comfortable for Eric. That's
Right.
that's their determination.
I should warn the neighbors, just in case. Right.
You remember last time?
Not a monster. Not a monster.
Right. Well, go. Have
Right.
fun. Give them
Take care of
my
yourself.
thanks and tell them hello
Right.
for me.
And I'll see you tomorrow.
Right. Saoirse, you make your way through the little wooded copses and eventually forest that leads out to Arixovir's family home, Granny Brynja's hut, or cottage, as we call it. We see you moving between these large oak trees and old growths that fill the space, occasionally coming across an area there's still trunks standing, but they've been sort of, not necessarily petrified, but there were fires that took place in certain areas that never seem to have recovered, whether that be by the nature of what kind of arcane fires were happening during the Emberflare on Lokvara. You're not sure, but there are some areas of the forest that just never recovered. And you pass through a couple of those and then back into these lush thickets, which it's still odd to you, even all of these years later. For as little time as you spent on Ilvermere, you kind of got used to the ashen canes there with the sort of violet and orange leaves. It's still strange sometimes to see so much green all together like this. As you approach, Arixovir, would you mind describing Granny Brynja's cottage for us?
Ooh, so this is gonna be difficult but fun. So you gotta tell me what's allowed and what's not. So, I think that there's on the ground, there is a part of a cottage, but then there's stairs that lead up to a tree house, basically, additional portion of the house. And there's some rope bridges and stuff that connect to these other portions of the house. So that way, if needed, we can get up off the ground.
Yeah, for sure. Rope bridges that span across branches where sections of wood pallets and what looks not hastily made, but looks more rickety than it actually is from the outside of this large tree that's still growing and thriving, that has this sort of abode throughout it. Seated on the porch is Granny Brynja, who, oddly enough, in the past 15 years, has not changed much, if at all, in appearance.
She was already the oldest person.
Yeah.
So...
And yeah, you're not sure if it's something to do with the transformation that took place for their family, but Granny Brynja is still spry as ever, Got like a little bit of a hunch to the back, but is so tall that it's negligible. And yeah, just like a little bit of fur. And you swear on one of her wooden horns that kind of like curl out to the side a bit, there's like a little leaf growing on one of them.
Has that always been there?
It comes and goes.
All right. I'll step onto the porch and just kind of put the keg down by her chair and just go, hi, Granny, brought you this.
Oh, such a good dear. It's so good to see you.
And she just grabs both of your cheeks and stretches them out.
It always hurts. It always hurts.
If it doesn't hurt, you're not growing.
And she gives you a big hug and squeezes too hard.
In a metaphorical way, or?
Sure.
All right.
Alexavir should be back any moment now. I've got a big pot of stew going, and I think we're going to cook up some grains, and I'll get everything set. You catch up.
At about this time, you see as Alexavir comes like probably like tromping out of the woods, but like branch to branch before just like landing, and there's like a cloud of dirt that kicks out as they stand at their full 7-foot height and just kind of like wave.
As I see them approach, I'll toss the sheathed dagger towards you.
I catch it in one hand and then scoop you up in the other, give you a big hug.
Aww.
Big spin around. Do you want to describe what this particular dagger?
Yeah, so this one, like the tattoo on my neck, is kind of different colored metals all woven together to look like the night sky.
I am just eyeing it with complete reverence. Like, oh, it is gorgeous.
There's just like a slight curve to the blade that kind of like tapers out at the tip so that it can still like be sheathed in that sort of arc, but has like a nice little curve.
The handle is
Like backwards curved up.
the handle is made of like foraged bone.
Hell yeah.
You know my style.
I know you. I do.
Your craft has gotten so good.
Oh, thank you. Mostly it's been nails and
Just like slicing around in the air.
screws and carpentry.
Yeah, it like naturally falls into a grip too that's sort of like a backhand blade situation.
Hell yeah.
Good for if you have
Sick.
long, horrible arms.
Yeah, you did have to make the the hilt
I imagine the handle
a little bit
is, like,
longer. Yeah, the handle is
than the
almost as
blade.
long as the blade.
Yeah.
Dagger, short sword.
Well, the blade is this big, but the handle.
Well, those things are always needed too.
Needed, but not very exciting after the 4 millionth single nail every day. In and out, and nails and nails.
Do
And
you ever think about
nails.
making different kinds of nails?
Different kinds of nails.
Like some that maybe vanish. Whoops.
I think somewhere in our very DNA, we're different. Because I can't do that.
No, it would be funny.
I
Just
just,
saying.
I take the iron, I make the nail. I take the iron, I make the nail. And then somebody else comes in and they say, I need 400 nails. So I take the iron and I make the nail. And I get maybe a quartz for all of it. Dane.
I just like
Yeah,
grabbing with my
yeah.
big creepy hands. I'm like, you need a drink.
I do.
We'll go.
And also run through the woods.
Yeah, you
Gunner
guys,
is probably also there, just like doing his happy little dance.
yeah. Which worth noting, you cannot speak to Gunner.
Sure.
Nor have you ever heard what Gunner sounds like other than little chirps, but it's a very well-behaved little badger pine.
He's excited to see you.
Oh, okay, it's a good emotion.
Yes,
All
those
right.
grunts he is making are happy.
Those are happy things.
Through a butt wag at all?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd say you've met like and interacted with Gunner enough times that you know that like you can pet him one direction, and that's fine.
Right. Have you had any luck with the dead parts of the forest?
Not particularly.
Hmm.
It must be the will of the gods.
Hopefully it'll grow back at some point. Good news. Other news. Have you gotten the mail lately?
Do I get mail out here?
I don't think so.
Somewhere there's just a letter
pile.
reading.
I imagine,
It's made it to the post office and no further.
Yeah.
I
There's just
imagine
a pile
Yeah.
of Magnus's letters in a corner that just like falls over, and then it cuts back to me, and it's just blank stare.
I imagine there was enough like communication
chain
back
mail.
and forth that you're aware that like anything to be sent to Auric should be sent to Saoirse. Because
yeah.
they see each other like this is like a twice a
The
week event.
communication is only over there on that table. That table.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like a dinner at Granny Brynja's is like a 2 times a week event.
Yeah.
You guys have probably been hanging out since your childhood friends who have been together since Ilvermere, basically.
I
They'll
would think
probably
that, like,
hang out more than we do.
instead of like letters, you would probably
Codependent.
get like just random tchotchkes in the mail. That like you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's just like a piece of like weird wood that's like carved like a goat or something, or like wind chimes.
You get little you get like little tree branches with
for
parchment
eating? No,
wrapped
no, no.
around them. Parchment wrapped around them that you unfurl it and it says, "What up, Stick Nation?" And then
I imagine this has helped like decorate my office with just oddities all over it.
Yeah,
just
for
like
sure.
just like bookshelves and stuff, but then like also
I do love
The foot.
yeah, bits
Yeah.
of
the idea
nature.
of you being just obsessed with random sticks.
Yeah,
It's like, here's a really cool stick. I don't need a stick.
Oh, I love that. Like the idea that the only reason that you have like greenery and houseplants in your study is because Elric Severe just like sent you a potted plant somehow.
just make it through the mail.
Put it in a
Clippings.
pot is hilarious.
You know,
It
I
was
feel
a
like you could
bag
get
full of
clippings.
dirt and some plants.
Yeah, there was
The box that
There's
gets
no
sent
thought.
was just dirt in the box and then the plant. It's like, yeah, it'll barely make it.
It's some like
Just a little
invasive
canvas.
plant that's like taken over the campus because I let it,
It's
grow
good too.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like to think. Yeah, one of your
The
bookshelves
pothos that
does.
won't stop from growing and just like
Yeah, one of your bookshelves does have crawling vines, sort of taking over it a little bit.
The note just says, "Just slap if gets frisky."
Type of plant.
It does like shudder and recoil a bit. You have a little bit of PTSD.
who's gonna take care of your plants when you're gone?
Some grad student.
Same, yeah. Honestly, same person who fills the basin. Like, they're hopeful, presumptive students. Like Magnus did his time, filling basins and doing laundry for
Lots of
scholars.
laundry. So
Slapping
much laundry.
plants.
While looking at every item they have in their house. Yeah.
Of course. It's like
They're like,
Reading
what
their
books
books.
do you have?
yeah, this laundry's gonna take an hour. It takes like 3 seconds because it's magic, and then I'm just like going through like every book on their shelves.
So creepy, but okay.
So, Arixavir and Saoirse, you guys have a lovely bit of stew over some wild rice, and probably finish off the keg of ale pretty quick. Granny Brynja busts out another one, the size of your family in stature, not in number. You guys can take some ale for sure, and always have extra on hand. What do you guys get up to? You said you were looking for a romp through the woods afterwards?
Yeah, I imagine we just kind of climb trees and try to find like ruins and stuff like that, anything left behind.
I think that Arix would take you to this like little grove location that they've found. So there's like some running water and a like pretty little pond, and they've decorated it with a bunch of like wind chimes, and like there's some chimes with weird bones and stuff, and like some wood and things like that. But it's probably from iron that you have smelted and stuff that have turned into tinkly sounds.
Brody and Magnus, they're coming back.
Oh goodness!
I don't know if they're staying for long, but I got a letter. I'll just pass you the letter.
You have to like turn it upside down in my
Right.
hands. Like, ha.
Right. You sent him a plant. How? By what means did you get the address on there? And
Luck.
who took the package?
We have our ways. Gunner just grunts next to me.
For years, I've been coming here, and I have no more answers than day one.
As you're like having this conversation out in the woods, you're sitting on some like old ruins that you've come across. That it's just merely scattered stone at this point, but you can tell that they're stacked in a certain way that it was once like the corner of a structure that is now the corner is all that remains, and it's overgrown with vines and moss as you guys are just kind of sitting and chatting. And rustling out through the underbrush is this adorable little creature, which is kind of large. It's like adorable and child-shaped, but big still, like probably up to your knees, Saoirse. Sort of thick, broad creature with a very goat-like face and little pointed hooves, but much more muscular of like a bear, as it comes like tromping out through the woods, as I think probably you would be familiar, and Arixovir, if not, you could introduce Kyla.
Ah, Kyla. And I give them a scritch on the head. And Saoirse, you've met Kyla before?
Only in silhouette.
I think Kyla is very, very clumsy. This little, is it a barotalope?
Yeah, Berotalope is the name I was given. Yeah, you can see like...
What do you still bring?
Well, I was playing with Gunnar. I was playing with Gunnar in the woods, and there were more of those scary booms. So
Oh,
I came to see you.
more booms. Okay. There's been weird things happening in the woods.
Yeah, as this conversation is happening, Saoirse, you just hear like... as they're like talking back and this weird like bear-goat mixture, conversing back and forth. And then Arix will just like turn back to you and be like, something weird.
It sounds it. It sure does.
We should investigate. I want to know what is going on in these woods.
Sure. What precisely are we investigating?
Noises and tremors and apparently people.
All right. It's probably nothing. They're probably just...
Maybe they are digging things up, or who knows? Maybe there is something to be had there. Maybe it is the will of the gods that we go see.
If it's the will of the gods, who am I to argue?
Magnus and Brody, as you return to as you return to Lokvara after a decade gone, you see the city has changed immensely, built mostly upward rather than outward, still staying, or rather Loamhaven, I should say, still contained within the protective wall. You see Castle Loamhaven is up on a hill, sort of in this central area, this big Gothic castle that looms over the space below, but still lots of greenery and trees within the city itself as well. You find yourselves at the docks. We see as the two of you kind of step down, looking a little bit haggard from a long trip at sea, but excited to be standing on solid land again and in a familiar place. And you take a deep breath and get the sense of the salt water, but also like the cooking pastries from Pickle Street Bakery that's nearby the docks, as well as the various like fish and goods that are being offloaded from other ships in this bustling area. The streets, as you step off of the docks, are completely cobbled and brick, depending on where you're going. Like the lesser traveled ones are cobblestone, the more traveled ones are kind of this brick that's been worn over the years to become like smoother, and you can like see where tracks of carriages have pulled across it. What is your first stop?
Do we find a place to stay while we're here?
So we're back home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could stay with Mom and Dad, but
We should probably say hi, yes.
yeah, we should probably say that first. That would be polite.
Make a luck check.
That kid that goes to college and is like, my who?
Yeah.
Who are these people? 9.
9. I'd say that you would be aware after, also conversing through letters, that your parents are currently out on their vessel.
Oh, yeah, they are probably out at sea right now. I guess we could go see Saoirse?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we'll go to the blacksmith.
Excellent.
Depending on what time of day it is. Like if it's business hours, we'll go there. If not, we'll go to
Yeah, it's getting later in the day, and you guys are much more used to a regular circadian rhythm now of there being days and nights that are equal in length, rather than, or not equal in length, but much shorter nights than on Ilvermere.
Would it be reasonable for me to have like a watch at this point? Is that a technology that's common here, or...
Watches are early.
Yeah, you would have a pocket watch for sure.
Okay, I was gonna say I'll pull out my grandfather clock.
From my
Did you know that pocket watches were invented in 1510?
Yeah, believe it.
pocket watches?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been telling time for a long time.
And it's just a spring and gears, right?
Yeah.
We do be timing.
For sake of ease, I'm not going to fuck with like an all-new time system that we'll have to keep up with. Of
course.
It's about 7 p.m.
Base 16 hours. Yeah.
Cool. Well, 7 is after business hours, probably. But
Yeah, coming up on the end of them for sure.
so I guess we'll swing by Saoirse's house instead of.
Excellent, yeah. You swing by, you knock, a few moments pass before the door is opened, and you see, looking very different from the last time you saw him, probably, is Cormac, Saoirse's father.
Cormac, Magnus, and Brody. It's been a while.
It has been some time. I didn't
All
even
grown up.
recognize you. Wonderful. Please do come in. And he invites you into the home. Saoirse, what does the interior of your home look like?
One room for the kitchen, dining, and like seating area. And then there's a hallway, and there's like 2 rooms back there. The outside is, it's a manicured space. It's not just like overgrown and crazy, but it's also not like, there's no garden per se. It's just like, there was a tree there, so we left the tree there. And inside is kind of the same. It's like, this was a table, we needed a table, it's fine. Everything is just exactly like, that's acceptable. There's some curtains, there's a little bit of like staining at the bottom where they touch the floor, and it's like, but they are curtains, aren't they? Everything is just clean enough that you're not like, oh God. But if you were to spend any time like looking around, you're like, there's kind of a haze of dust.
Why is that more depressing than if it was
Yeah.
Like, oh, she wasn't here to ever add a character to this place.
Yeah. Please have a seat, make yourselves comfortable. He like grabs a vase of flowers that have been long dead off the table and like puts them in the bin and tosses that out the window, like the water, not the whole thing. Done with that.
Nothing's
Kind of like
I don't need the happiness of flowers.
he walks over to the basin and empties the vase out the window over the basin.
Is this? Do we remember it being like this when we were here before, or has it kind of fallen more into?
It's a little more in disrepair for sure. It looks like make insight checks actually.
15.
7.
Magnus, you can tell that this is a home that the main caretaker of this place is probably here infrequently. You get the sense that Saoirse's probably been working a lot more. I'd say you also would probably be aware from, because I don't think Saoirse's very like secretive in her letters.
No, I think I've detailed every thought.
You know that Saoirse's father, since leaving Ilvermere, has been having some like crises of faith in Exardesca, and partially because of his transformation, partially because of all that's happened. He'll have like weeks at a time where he goes into these depressive episodes and he doesn't leave his room, and you can see that from the space. Like it's not dirty, it's just not incredibly well kept. And Saoirse has been working a lot more lately, so she hasn't been home to take care of things. It's kind of just a self-feeding cycle of like, if he's depressed, she's got to work more, which means no one's taking care of the house. But yeah, he seems very perky as you guys come in, and invites you to like have a seat at the table. Seriously, you're welcome to stay as long as you like. We've got Nora's room set up if you need a place to stay. We could bring an extra cot in if you'd prefer to share the space, or you're more than welcome to stay out here if you'd like. I don't know how long you're planning to be in town. Saoirse is actually out with Arixivir at Granny Brynja's in the woods. They're having their dinner that they do a couple times a week. So if you're looking for Saoirse, I can point the direction for you.
Still light out?
It's getting to be sunset now,
Okay.
for sure. The Sparkwinds are beginning to become more present in the sky as the sun approaches the horizon.
I mean, we can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll head out to meet them, but thanks for your hospitality while we're here. We'll
So
hope-
he doesn't like lead a service or anything, right?
No, you're aware that he like maybe goes to services every
Yeah.
once in a while at the temple in Loamhaven, but he does not.
Oh, this is like where he's from originally, right?
Yeah,
So a
this
lot
is-
more people believe their religion than
It's
where we were.
It's still
growing
actually predominantly the fables.
Okay.
Cormac was from Lochvara, but he married Maeve, who was actually native to Caldrunmore, which is where there's a much more heavy presence of the Exardescan faith. The parts of Caldrunmore that the two of you have, at least Magnus mostly, has been at the university, is kind of separates itself from godliness anyway, and is more, scholarly facts, science. But the majority of Caldrunmore are followers of the Exardescan faith. They worship the Great Flame. But yeah, I'd say it's more fables in Lochvara.
Got it.
I wonder if any of the shops are still open. We could grab some booze on our way over.
Yeah, we can try.
Should be.
We're gonna make haste to try to get out there while it's still light, but we'll see you while we're still in town for sure. So
Sure. Well, it was a pleasure to see you again after so long. Tell Saoirse I said hello. Good day. He opens the door and leads you out. You have this sort of like awkward moment of like, yeah, you're not here for company.
It's very cool to see you.
Oh, right, because right,
All right, bye.
yeah.
Oh,
Closes the door.
You hear sobs.
Flagellation happening. We cut back in that moment to Saoirse and Auric having this conversation about the people by the shore, as tromping out through the woods towards the cabin are two silhouetted figures. And as they step into the emerging light of the Sparkwinds, I'm going to leave it up to you guys whether or not you instantly recognize the Fisker brothers.
Alright, goes invisible.
Can I make a check of some kind to
Got a
determine?
beard.
Yeah.
I look different.
Make either perception or I'd say insight actually is probably better. We'll call this a DC 10.
13.
Nice. It takes you a second, but you do recognize Magnus and Brothy.
I'm gonna sprint out of the woods and launch all of my body at them.
Oh god.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your reaction as you just hear like turn and see as like there's like a growing light as well, and you turn and see Saoirse leap and just like go to grab kind of both of you.
I'm gonna try to step out of the way.
Okay, Saoirse, you can go ahead and make an athletics check, and you can make an athletics or acrobatics to avoid the grapple.
Natural 20, 25.
Damn.
I'm going to freeze
Going hot.
like a deer in
Damn.
the headlights.
15.
So you get Magnus, and as you dodge out of the way, you just hit something solid that you can't see. And then I turn back.
I slid
The two of you are lifted off the ground.
Hi, friends. Great to see you. We brought booze.
Oh, good. How was the trip? How was your journey? What have you learned?
I've learned so much.
Why are you back?
So there's a dig happening here, and my school has sent me to take part in it, investigate. There was apparently an artifact uncovered that they want me to look at as well. And but before we're able to do that, we have to go do some nonsense with the Seekers Guild. Are you guys familiar with that?
You can each make a history check. I'm going to say, Auric, you have disadvantage
Hey,
because you live in the woods.
love it.
You'll notice that my
Well-
accent has
Nice.
gone away completely in my years at school, and it's more of like a mishmash of like common Noxian, goblin, furfolk.
I'm just gonna say mine comes and goes because that's me.
there's probably a similar thing that's happened to Saoirse where it's like that the Lochvaran accent
Stronger
mixed
now.
with like
Hanging
Granny
out with Granny
Brynja
Brynja.
and Aric's accent where it's like just kind of messy sometimes and like very like from the tongue.
It's not us being bad at accents. It's into the.
No,
it's
this
in
is
character
a
now.
story
Yeah.
This is developmental mirroring that happened with our characters as they grew up.
For
It's
sure.
been 15 years of jumbled accents all over the place.
It should be noted, this was their choice. I didn't say anything about anyone's performances. I thought it was
Cameron
great.
sat us down and he told us we're bad at voice work.
He pointed fingers very aggressively.
He said, especially you, wife.
I call her wife when everyone's not around.
Listen here, wife.
A 10.
A 10 and a 12?
12.
You're both like vaguely familiar with the idea. Saoirse, your understanding is that the Seekers Guild is it's kind of like the Lochvaran equivalent to Tuatavine, where, you know, it sanctions people to go and like travel to different places. Arixovir, your understanding is that it's like an adventurers guild. People that want to go on adventures have to go there first.
I'm gonna be like messing with Magnus's hair now that it's like long. Your accent is quite different now, but yes, the digs, do they make lots of booming noises when they do these?
They could. They might
Pulling out a
use.
beard over here.
They might use some explosives to open up areas before. I mean, I hope they're not using too many explosives because they should be more delicate.
Kind of sounds like
But-
they are. And I like
You know, they might not have someone who knows what they're doing the dig.
You would be aware that frequently at like the beginnings of these expeditions to clear, you know, like rock or dirt buildup over centuries that could be blocking off parts of these areas, they'll frequently use an item known as, it's pronounced keso, but it's spelled K''S''O. It is an element that is named after Kasovir from the Fables because of its volatile nature. And it is basically this world's equivalent of like black powder.
Yeah, you know, they might be using some queso to open up.
Queso.
Queso.
Okay, so
It's pronounced queso.
Listen, queso's pretty explosive for me too.
It's not
Nice.
tempered with some lactade. Lactade.
yeah.
Yeah, some queso.
Please.
Lactate, get at us. This is an untapped market. Holy shit.
Please.
Delicate tummy.
Lactate, tap my mark.
Nerds don't have strong stomachs. It's proven. No.
We could do a commercial and my ass. You know, it'd be good.
So, yeah, there's some queso probably being used, which would make some booms. Some boom booms.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, good.
So, do you have to go to the Seekers Guild to get this queso?
No,
Probably not, but
it's more of
we'd have to go there to get approval to do the digs and like take stuff from the digs. Otherwise, it's illegal.
You see like a
grave
glowing,
robbing.
like, there's a brightness.
You would also be aware that queso is highly regulated because it is an explosive. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like to just let anyone have access to it because it is very dangerous.
Our size
How-
slightly.
We're gonna have to talk to them. There's some sort of a trial or a test they're gonna put us through. So my headmaster told me a little bit about the trial, and he recommended that, if I know anyone that I trust, that I should get them together to help out with it. And of course, I thought of y'all. So
Oh,
maybe if you want to do something a little bit different for a change, we can go do whatever this trial is and see what's going on. And then we can dig around in some old stuff if you're into that too.
Like not making hundreds and hundreds of nails every day?
I do know how that grates on you, yes.
Like the old days. Hmm?
Yeah, it'd be like an egg hunt, but, more fun.
More explosive. Yeah.
Potentially. Potentially.
Would be fun. I'd have to do something with the smith, and I probably have to figure out what to do with my father and the house.
Maybe your father can stay with Granny Brynja.
I think it's just like the idea
I
of that
don't-
total chaos is like, yes, that's gonna be fine, right?
I don't know if that's gonna be fine.
It could
But
do
he
him
could
some
go
good.
stay with his sister. She'll be in town tomorrow morning.
Oh,
Our,
perfect.
our parents can, they come and go, but they can check up on them.
Go is bad.
Maybe
Stay is good.
maybe he can get on the ship with them and he can
Yeah.
help and he won't be stuck in his room all the time.
That could be good for him.
Ah, yes, trap him on the boat.
Yeah,
Put him on a boat.
What every depressed person needs.
a little time at
It's a
sea.
task.
I'll sleep on it.
Okay. Hey, you guys want to see some cool stuff since we're outside of town?
Yeah.
Always.
I'm going to show off some spells.
Hell yeah.
I'll cast Mage Hand and pick up something across the room and move it around.
Oh.
He's just showing off.
Yeah, literally showing off.
Eric Severe's like, oh, it is like mine. And then all of a sudden you see one of the jellyfish from the Umbral Sea appears and it's glowing and stuff. And it goes and picks up a rock and
And
drops
just
it.
this little jellyfish just kind of through the air, wraps its tendrils around a rock and picks it up.
Did you suggest in any of your letters that you could do this kind of stuff?
Nope.
How pissed are you?
just drop everything he's holding. Drop his mug.
I think there was a moment.
It goes and grabs your mage hand. It's trying to dance around with it.
I think there was a moment where you were kind of Rixovier came out of nowhere and was it grabbed Brody and just kind of wrote that off as whoa, so sneaky. But it's starting to click now of wait, hang on. we were in a clearing and that's a lot to hide. And yeah, you're starting to put together maybe there are others among you who have access to certain things.
Incredible. I pull out one of my books and start writing immediately. And I need you to tell me everything about how you did that.
I don't know. One time I woke up, I have these dreams about the jellyfish, and sometimes when I wake up, they just didn't go away. And now it just comes and goes whenever I want. It just disappears.
Were there any sort of somatic components involved in any of that was happening, or?
That's a great
Is
question.
that mage hand? It is mage hand. It's just flavored.
Yeah. Is Rixovier still wearing the glove?
I think that they bring it out sometimes. I don't think that they brought it out whenever Saoirse was here, though.
Okay. Worth noting when it does appear. It still fits you, even with your elongated arms, it still fits you like it did when you were a child. It's all the way up to the elbow.
I think nothing of it.
So it's what? A couple feet long?
Yeah.
So I think that there's either clapping or snapping and this weird sound that I make to make it appear and disappear.
Incredible.
Unless you have telekinetic. Didn't someone take that?
It is, it's telekinesis, but it just gives me access.
Oh, yeah. You do it without that then.
Yeah, you probably
Oh,
don't have
okay.
any.
So I don't have
Oh,
to.
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, there's no
You do it,
activation. This sends your mind into a frenzy as you're trying to everything that you've been working on is, and this is all theoretical still.
Right.
But in order to call forth the spark from the ether, that I would say you probably theorize that the spark is within and without, and it's the interaction between the two by way of, hand motions and verbalizations that causes it to come into effect. The fact that somebody could bridge that gap without having to basically fill in the spaces is crazy. You've only heard of a few people who can do things similar to this, who would occasionally, come to the university seeking aid in controlling whatever's happening to them, but most of them would move on pretty quickly, realizing that there was no one who could help them there.
That's
It's just it's coming towards you and just bumps you in the head a bunch. I'm it is a gift from Kosovier.
It's very squishy.
Do you do some sort of a prayer ritual or something that gives you access to these abilities, or is this something that you just draw from within? Or I ask you 10 million questions.
Every night, Granny Brynja comes like stalking. There's just like, she's like a little bit taller than Auric, actually.
Wraps around a tree.
Yeah, she just like she doesn't wrap around the tree bends as she moves it out of the way.
Like a tree that shouldn't bend, just...
She kind of like lumbers over and she's just like, so good to see you again, boys, and kind of like pats both of you on the shoulder. She's like, you have not changed even a bit.
Magnus knows better than to argue.
Hi, Granny.
I think Granny is just like, she sees something else. She doesn't actually see you in front of her.
It's like auras, yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Seeing the inner beings.
Yeah. A few changes, like as Arek Sovir has been getting into doing like tattoos and doing this art on different people, she has also requested, similar to your glove, she has on the palm of her left hand the four-winged snake, and on the palm of her right hand is just like a very decorative eye that she's had you tattoo on her.
Oh, so cool and creepy. I love it. I want these tattoos now.
Every night, we recount the fables, our favorite stories. And I presume this has something to do with it.
Interesting. Perhaps... You're just like...
Falling into a tunnel of thought.
Yeah, just like writing furiously.
Gonna peek over at it. My eyes kind of cross, and then I just lean away.
Yeah, make an intelligence check as you are watching as Magnus writes and scrawls.
9.
I'd say 9 is enough. You obviously don't have any comprehension of what is being written, but I'd say you have enough of a comprehension to realize that he's switching between several languages.
Holy shit.
That's what makes my eyes cross.
I would say for Magnus, like your knowledge of this is that in some languages there are certain words that are shorter than they would be in other languages, so switching between them is the most efficient way.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I learned Goblin. It's like Goblin has a lot of real short words.
Yeah.
But they're very effective.
Great for shorthand,
That's
for
how
sure.
like a court
it.
stenographer would take notes in Goblin.
Yeah, and then occasionally you'll use like an ancient Noxian rune that has probably like 5 different meanings tied to it, but you know contextually because of the goblin and the common on either side of it what it is referring to.
Right.
That's so sick.
You write words like Saoirse makes nails. What do you do, Brody?
Fish.
You fish like they
Make a deception check.
18.
18. Is anyone's
Wait,
passive insight higher than 18?
Well,
15 would be my passive then. So
Okay. Yeah, he fishes sometimes.
you do be fishing.
Sometimes, I go on. People at the docks will hire me. I'll go on some voyages and come back and look after this nerd. You grew up though. Last time I saw you, you were what, 13?
right? Yeah.
And you have tattoos.
Yes, I can give you some. I just like pull out like a sharp instrument.
Yeah.
It's just like a stick that's been sharpened to a point.
I brought fortified wine.
Yes.
I want a tattoo.
Hell
That's
yes.
right. It does
Else?
take a few hours and it hurts. It hurts real bad.
That's fine.
He's like real heavy-handed.
What do you get tattooed?
Oh shit, what should I get? Oh,
A jellyfish.
swordfish.
Oh, a swordfish.
Dope.
I like it.
Hell yeah.
Does Eric Severe know what a swordfish is?
Let's find out.
I'm gonna say to stick with our trend of changing things up a
Oh
bit.
yeah.
You have your choice between a great swordfish and a sawfish.
Let's do sawfish.
Nice.
Okay, I'm gonna figure out whether or not I know what that looks like.
Because I'm
What is this,
imagining-
intelligence or
Aric's brain just being like, saw fish. Got it.
Yeah.
Can
Which
you,
honestly it's not far off from what it is.
Can you do like a half sawfish? Like maybe one side has it.
one side of what?
And the other half is a man.
Just legs dangling.
I'm pretty sure there actually is a fish with like a saw-shaped.
Yeah,
fin, right?
it's a type of shark, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a history check with advantage, as Granny Brynja will try and
thank God.
regale you with her interpretation of what they look like.
Oh, okay, with advantage, you're so lucky. That's a 21. Otherwise, it would
Nice.
have been an 8.
So, to recall, yeah, you're aware, sawfish is much like what a sailfish looks like in our world, except instead of just coming out to a point on the nose, like a long spear tip point, it is actually like saw on either side. Actually, I would say it's like up and down.
Yeah, I'll get the whole thing. It's fine. I don't need.
So you're not gonna tattoo a dick and just tell him it's a sailfish, tell him it's a sawfish.
It's kind of weird. Should I maybe here, pointing down?
Like maybe it goes across the shoulders, and then when you flex, you have sawfish, like coming down the arm. Well, then
No. Then you just see that coming up. No, just all right here.
Okay.
Excellent.
And I think that it's like black lines, but it's like very
Do it here.
like no, not like tribal or anything, but like it's very like ornamental.
Oh, cool.
Hell yeah. Go ahead and make another performance check. I'll say that you're
Purple one. So it
rolling over 20 earlier on the visual of like the visualization will also give you advantage on this roll.
cool. Ooh, that's a 19. There you go.
It was a 17 and a 1 on the die. 19, it's great.
Hell yeah.
The one would have been you got like a dot done and went, no.
Light comes out the other side.
Staff.
Looks great.
It's a piercing.
I'm just like drinking fortified wine the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah, Granny Brynja comes over when it's done. She's like, beautiful work as always. I've got some salve that will fix this up. And she kind of like opens up, reaches into like flowing robes, and you can hear things like jangling as there's a lot of stuff in various pockets that have been stitched into these. She reaches in and pulls out this little wooden jar that's been like turned on a lathe and takes the top off, and it's filled with this kind of goopy green substance that she kind of slops out onto the fingers and just like rubs over the tattoo. And as she does, there's this like really warm to cool sensation, almost like an icy hot, but just for a moment before she reaches into another pocket and pulls out this strange little like wooden implement that's kind of like a curved, it's like a hook that if it was flat to begin with, and takes that and kind of like scrapes off the excess, and essentially is going to cast a healing spell on you to make it instantly heal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Very nice.
So you don't have to worry about upkeep of healing a tattoo,
Could you imagine how good tattoos would look if you could instantaneously heal them?
right? Zero blowout.
Granny Brynja was the first to invent tattoo goo.
Also, if you see Magnus looking at you weird, he's probably just trying to read your tattoos.
Just,
Yeah,
like,
make a
pull
perception
back the
check.
mane to show you everything.
14.
14. On a 14, are there any words that he can pick out in Ancient Noxian?
Ooh.
He is fluent.
Yeah, I think that you'd probably see a lot of like references to the fables. A lot of them are probably like Coast of Year, like adjacent. And then probably some stuff for like Thyronmore, the Thorn Father too. Like specifically like blessings of the trickster and stuff like that.
I like to think there's like a little inscription probably down like the shoulder of a particular story from the fables that you would probably be familiar with of, and yeah, I'm straight ripping this, but it's great, so I don't care. But it's the story of Thyronmore standing in for Rithmira, who was set to be married off to this giant, but they put Thyronmore in disguise, and he went to the wedding and kept the veil down the whole time until the end. He revealed himself and basically just like took out everybody at the wedding with the help of Kasovir. It was like the first time they did a little ruse together, and it involved Thyronmore being in drag for most of it, which is like
Sick.
just a very classic tale that kind of brings all of the gods of the fables together in one story.
I'm like wondering, like positing in my notes that possibly the configuration of these tattoos or something lends to Eric Sauvier's ability to do spell-like magic.
That could be how I do disguise self, actually.
Yeah,
That'd be fucking sick. It's just like the tattoo of the fable gave me that power.
Amazing.
that's rad.
Oh, that's
Tattoo?
Oh, no, none for me, thank you.
What does the rest of the evening look like as you guys kind of catch up after years apart?
all right. I have something for you both as well. And I'll pull the remaining 2 daggers from
Hell
my
yeah.
pack, and I will hand one to you, and the one for Magnus is the blade is much more simple. It's just steel, but it's probably based on like a sketch of like a more ancient dagger that you've sent me. So the like hilt and grip are very ornate. I imagine like very like filigree and swirly, and maybe with some stones
Ooh, I like to
set in.
think that it's almost like a smaller version of the sword that was in the museum on Ilvermere.
Yes.
And it has those same ancient Noxian runes that now mean power that are written down. It's like 3 individual runes.
This
Nice.
is beautiful.
Isn't she good?
Oh, thank you.
I'm just over here, just like. here.
What does Brothis look like?
That one is again the concept is more simple, but all of the components are things that like Arik and I have found as we've explored. So there's like some stones in there in the hilt that are rough, but they are discovered through adventure.
Oh yeah.
And the blade is probably simple, but there's like a hook kind of to it, so you would like get into something and then pull. So it's made with like attack and adventure in mind.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I think that we're all just kind of like sitting around up in the treehouse. Like there's probably Arik's has like a room that's just like a little offset thing in the trees, and like we're just legs are dangling over the window as I'm like scribbling on you with probably a quill from Gunner is how I do the tattoos.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's
I
good.
think that there's like fireflies and you can hear all sorts of nature outside, and probably Papa Thorum is playing some little weird instruments.
Yeah, he had to
Forest snacks.
he had to remake a lot of his he plays a lot of like stringed instruments that are not typical. Like he's got this one that he's created, which is basically what he had to switch to after the little like violin with the reverberation horns became too small for his long elongated fingers. So now he has basically what he's constructed like a large hurdy-gurdy where there's like a rosined bow connected to a crank that he turns, and he pushes buttons to fret the strings. So it's just like this much easier for him to play instrument of his own invention. It's kind of just decorating the background. It's like a low droning buzz that's kind of rhythmic to it as he plays.
I'll
And
probably continue to drink and do whatever, and at one point play the cup game with y'all, like have like a coin or a gem, I guess, right?
Yeah,
With like 3 cups.
Oh, where you have to find
Yeah,
it? Oh.
excellent. Whoever would like to participate and try and find the gem,
I'll try.
yeah, go ahead and make a perception check. Brody, you make a sleight of hand check.
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can get away with casting the spell without anyone noticing too.
Yeah, that'll be part of the sleight of hand.
Okay. So do I roll 2 or no?
Is the spell what gives you advantage?
Mhm.
Not for this one then.
Okay. 14.
Nat 20.
Damn.
Plus nothing.
And 14 also doesn't match Magnus's
Yeah.
passive.
I
So
don't think it matches
But also,
your passive
I'm at
either.
16.
I'm just doing something weird with my hands. You don't see me say anything.
yeah, but you
I'm-
instantly recognize, you don't recognize the shapes themselves, but you recognize that there is somatic intention behind the movements that your brother is
Like
making.
I'm trying to draw focus to this hand and doing something like below with the other one.
Arik, is your passive perception higher than 14?
It is, yeah. 16.
You all notice this. Saoirse, I think that you would notice.
And then
What is?
The gem is like gone.
Go ahead and make another
Yeah.
sleight of hand check with advantage this time.
Not that good. 13.
Once again, all of you notice. You notice the weird hand gestures. Magnus, you're the only one who knows like what that means, what the intention is. And the rest of you see as what's typically like a very simple sleight of hand trick where it's like, and then I'll pass it to this hand and usually you palm it. Brody basically does that with, he forgets to use the other hand for that. He just closes his fist and opens it and the thing is gone. And I think all of you are aware that this is not simple sleight of hand.
I will assume, as the person like doing like on the receiving end of the trick, I think I will just presume that nobody else noticed and be like, "Oh, that's a very cool trick."
Do you make them reappear?
Under a cup.
Can I do a sleight of hand for another trick?
Sure.
Oh, it's only a 3. I was gonna try to make more appear whenever you lift up the cup.
Just we're just seeing.
I think you lift up the cup and the one is there, and then suddenly like a few more. As you, what does it look like when you cast this spell?
Probably, like I think that you can notice me with my hands like doing a snap.
Yeah, that like opens and Onyx just snaps, and there's more. And Magnus, your mind is tumbling over itself.
Screaming.
What is going on?
I've dedicated my life to magic, and all I can do is make clothes clean.
It's like that Better Call Saul sketch. I dedicated my life to this. You can't come in and take shortcuts, etc. But you've been studying.
All 3 of us are
What are you
just
talking about?
total assholes about this on accident.
Okay. All right. All right, Brody. All right. Brody. All right.
Birdie, okay. Okay, Birdie.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little confused. I start writing.
And also no verbal or somatic components to what she's
I
done.
did snap.
No,
I think
that one, yeah, but the jellyfish.
The jellyfish, oh, yeah.
Were these
It's
like,
like everything I've known about magic.
was this like a prestidigitation cantrip that you were doing that with, or was that like a
Me?
different? Yeah.
No.
Was that? Oh, okay.
Obfuscate object.
Okay.
It's a cantrip though.
Cool.
Okay. Okay. I try to like remember. What are you handing me?
Fortified
Shots.
wine.
Oh. I try to remember the motions that he did with his hands, and I like sketch out the shorthand for it, like the somatic shorthand.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you do so, and there's almost like rumble. You can feel, especially up in the treehouse itself, or the treehouse portion of the cottage. There's this loud boom in the distance, but before you hear it, you feel it. There's like a tremor, and there's like the jingling of a couple of jars against each other on the shelves. One of them almost slides off, but Onyx, you like manage to get your hand up just in time and keep it in place as you all kind of like look at each other. Saoirse, you get this almost ringing in your ears.
I think I get like that roller coaster drop to the pit of my stomach, and there's kind of like in my skin and hair, there's kind of like a flare that passes pretty quick. It goes to like white hot flame and then passes back to normal.
You all notice this little like flare. It's immediately following that tremor.
Is everything all right?
I think something is very wrong.
Was that did that sound like Casso going off?
That did sound like Kesso being detonated in the distance. You've been near some dig sites in Caldrunmore where it's been used, and it's similar vibe.
Is Gunnar with us?
Yeah, I imagine Gunnar was here, kind of like sniffing at the tattoo as you were doing it with his quill.
Gunnar, is that the explosions that you'd heard before?
Yeah, that's the sound.
Yeah, that sounds like Casso.
This is the first time that it's been this close to the cottage, though. It sounds like it's getting closer. It must be your dig that you were talking about.
I think so. Weird that they're working so far into the evening, I would think. Because it's dark out now, right? I imagine, right? Yeah.
Whatever it is that they found, it's bad. I don't think it's something that they should be messing around with.
Is that sort of a instinct that you're
It's
basing
like
that on?
this bad taste. Does that make sense? Like,
No.
Have you like explained previously, like being able to
like gut feelings.
Yeah. Well, do you think that we should go warn them?
I mean,
So before it gets worse?
they know what they're working with, though.
Maybe they don't. I mean, they're exploring.
Maybe.
Make a history check, Magnus, with advantage.
Ooh.
When have we ever known what we are working with when digging up the ruins?
19.
You know that in many instances there are arcanely advanced items that have been found and discovered in ancient ruins. There are also, in many of them, old protections that either were not working prior, that have started working again, or just have never been unearthed.
Mm-hmm.
But you've heard on more than one occasion that they're very there's a reason that you need a Seeker's Edict to go into these places. Part of it is to prevent thievery. Another part of it is to prevent harm to people who are untrained trying to go into these places and getting themselves killed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like what we know of archaeology where you just go and dig and it's like, ooh, cool. It's like there's booby traps, there are things, and as we learned from the Emberflare in the time since, there are new things in the world that are dangerous.
I feel like if we know something bad's about to happen, it's our responsibility to go tell them. Also, so they don't potentially ruin any discoveries through accidents. How drunk are we right now? I ask out loud.
That is up to you.
Should we
Constitution
do con rolls?
Yeah, let's make some Constitution saving throws. DC 10 to not have basically a level of exhaustion from being drunk.
Woo! 21.
Nice.
11.
Nice.
Hit only 9. I'm a little blasted.
Also 9.
Auric and Magnus are both, you're like, we should go warn them, and you both stand up and you're like, ooh.
Do I get the feeling that this is anything outside the norm, though? Like,
I mean, you
what-
haven't really...
Like, they know what they're
Yeah, sure.
getting into, right?
Can I
The people
tell,
there should be aware that there are dangers associated.
Can I tell if this feels like the night we had to flee our homes, or smaller, or bigger? You know what I mean? Like, is this on a mass scale, or is it just like, oh, there's some bad stuff?
This has only happened a couple of times before for Saoirse. You've never experienced this particular like taste and feeling, but you've had situations where you've gotten that ringing in the ears, like moving through the woods on your way to Auric's place. But it would usually be like
10 saber moves.
it would be like some leftover creatures from when the Emberflare first happened. You didn't experience it on Ilvermere, but you know that was the creatures that you saw there were different from the ones here. These ones were a lot more like fighter-based. There were different variations. We'll say you had a particular run-in with this odd little creature that was like scaled and sort of like reddish and had wings, but it was humanoid in shape. But it was this odd little like fey-like imp that you came across that seemed very out of place in the woods that you had to take out. And you probably wouldn't have noticed it if you hadn't gotten that feeling when it was in your vicinity.
I don't know. If you think that it's better that we stay here, then sure. I just don't.
What? Yeah, okay.
You hear a voice that you haven't heard probably in some years. And it's almost like it was sleeping. And it's just kind of like waking up and stretching in your mind as you hear, could be worth checking out though, couldn't it? And you kind of like feel a twitch in your hand.
I'm
Let's go.
Getting my feet under me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Magnus like,
Pull you up up onto your feet.
Yeah, neither of you guys were close enough to a 10. Like, if you'd failed by 5 or more, you guys would have been plastered. You're close enough. I'm going to say you'll just have disadvantage on ability checks.
Okay.
You're, like, buzzed. I think that reaction was perfect. Of like, let's go. Like, that is the attitude.
I do my
Take
best.
one big more swig and then go.
I do my best not to fuck up my spell.
the
but I
dagger.
cast mage armor on myself.
Excellent.
Good dagger.
You all climb across a rope bridge and down like a dangling set of rope ladders. There's like 4 of them in place. Very thick, sturdy ropes. Like none of you have any worries about them giving under your weight because you know who's constantly climbing around up here are 4 of these Oryxovir-sized peoples. You climb down and make your way. Granny Brynja has already gone off to bed as it's getting kind of late in the evening.
And she already knew this was going to happen, so.
Probably Gunnar is kind of like leading you guys a bit in the direction of where he's seen this happening. You get maybe 50 feet away from the cabin before you hear rustling in the woods. Those of you with dark vision, which I think is just the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Saoirse, who I'll say Saoirse, you give off like dim light if you so choose in like a probably like 15-foot area.
I would say that since our concept was to go talk to whoever is doing this, I don't think I would have thought to like be stealthy.
For sure.
I think I would have
Also-
pulled my glove on too if we were going to be leaving.
The 2 of you, your hearts sink as you see rising from the ground and rustling are these tendrils that seem to be wrapped around bone. And it's almost like the bones themselves are being moved. You've explored these grounds extensively around your cabin. These must be coming from deep within the ground. Because if there were bones nearby, you would have found them. You see as they kind of pull up from the ground, cracking the earth beneath them, as these 6 skeletal figures stand wrapped in vines and twigs. Their jaws are askew, and there's this light, sort of orangish glow within the eye sockets of the skulls. And that's where we're going to end this episode of the Sparkwind.
Oh god.
Creepy plant undead.
Little skeleton mix.
I want to play more.